Here we
Hey,
go.
how are you?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Pretty good. Nice to meet you.
Yes, yes, same here. Sorry, I didn't put a Zoom link earlier originally. That was my bad.
It's all good.
Yeah, yeah. So how you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
I hear you. Same here. Thank you for doing this up early in the morning to work for you.
I'm a morning person, so this actually works out for
Oh, okay. That's good. That's good.
me.
Because normally I do this at night, but I'm willing to meet people wherever they're at. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do this. If we guys squeeze it in whenever, that's what we do. That's good to hear. But yeah, I've definitely heard a lot of good things about you. So I was really quite impressed. I was just reading about you, everything, Kenyetta and all that. So I'm definitely was very, very impressed by your background and all that. So you live in Durham, is that right?
I do live in Durham. I've been living here for like, let's see, 3 years now, almost 3 years. I bought a house here and I used to live in Raleigh. I lived there for a long time, moved to Broad Creek, then eventually moved to Durham. So yes, I'm fine. I'm a Bull City Durhamite now.
Oh, okay, okay. How long have you lived in Raleigh?
In Raleigh for at least 13 years. I've been here about 18 years now because originally from Illinois.
Okay,
So
I did see
small
that.
town called Belleville, and it's literally 30 minutes from St. Louis, Missouri. So I always went from St. Louis because I live my life in the city. so so I live my life in the city. But
That's good.
outside of that, I moved here when I finished up junior college. Went to junior college first. I didn't go to a 4-year first, and went to NC State, and then got my MBA at UNC in
Okay,
2000.
okay. That's good. That's good. Yep. So I've been living in Durham for about 5 years now.
Oh, really?
And
Where are you from?
I'm originally from New Jersey. So before I moved to Durham, I lived in Burlington and over in Alamance County for a long story, but I lived there for about how long was that? Yeah, 8 years, 8 to 10 years. So yeah,
In
I lived there
Burlington,
for
New
10 years.
Jersey?
No, Burlington in North Carolina. That's my bad.
No, 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 I'm saying so. But you moved from New Jersey.
I did, yes. Yep, I've been in North Carolina since 2007, so I've been here for
Okay.
15 years altogether. But the last 5 have been in Durham, and prior to that was in Alamance County. So, yeah, that's where we are now. But yeah, originally from New Jersey, was born in New York. But what brought you doan here?
Schools. So when
Schools.
I finished with junior college, I was like, I was gonna go far away. Like that was really the major requirement was to go far away. And 13 hours is a long way.
13 hours. Yeah, that's how far home is from you from here.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, the part of Illinois that you're from, is that near Chicago?
Not at all. It's like it's about 3.5, almost 4 hours away. And it's like a totally different life. Like Chicago is the city, right?
Yeah.
Everything else in Illinois is pretty rural.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Chicago surrounding areas, it's city. Everything else is flat land. They grow corn and stuff like that. Where I lived, my backyard was a cornfield. And so, yeah. So Illinois, so St. Louis life is very much so resonating with me way more than Chicago. They're vastly different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've been to both cities, and I actually have driven from here to Chicago years ago. So I definitely know how rural it is in between. It's to be frank, it's not pleasant.
Right. Listen, it can be scary.
Oh yeah, that's a that's a better way of putting it. Like
Right.
People always talk about, and I don't mean to be too funny, but people always say, "Oh, I don't want to drive through Mississippi." It's that this part's be like, I don't even know if I want to drive through Indiana. Like, it's like, no, I'm good.
Listen, West Virginia, you're like, so I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I've driven from West Virginia plenty of times.
I actually stopped driving through West Virginia. I actually
Really?
stopped driving. Yep, I stopped driving through West Virginia. I was like, nope, it's a different way to go to Illinois, and I'm going to go through Tennessee. I am not going through West Virginia anymore.
Even take you longer. He's like, nah, not
No,
doing
it
that.
don't. It doesn't take. It's the same amount of time. So I
Oh,
was fine with
really?
that. Yep.
That's good. Now, whatever you gotta do to keep yourself safe, because I've heard too many stories of being in Indiana and this racial profiling and crazy stories, and I'm just like, this happened in the modern day too, and I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, this is,
People think of the Midwest as being like very liberal,
mm-hmm.
and it's not.
Mm.
It's not like that. Like, the southern parts of Illinois are southern. It's called the heartland, right? So you have Southern Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee. Those are very much so the South.
Yeah.
So you have parts which Chicago, people that, places that are closer to bigger cities, any metropolitan area is simply going to be more liberal than anything else. So just think about that.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you folks here for joining Clay's Couch. I'm your host, Clay, the one and only, coming at you the best way I know how. And I'm pleased here to welcome in progress, Miss Kenyetta Hall. And Miss Kenyetta, thank you for joining Clay's Couch here.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me on here. I am just, ready to get things started.
That's for sure. Yeah, I got so carried away with you just talking now. I forgot to do my own intro. I usually do that, but it's all good though. I'll let that one slide this one time. But my editing team, I'll let them do what they want to do with that. But I think they should include the first part of this conversation because it's real good. But,
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, editing team, let's just stay in. So you also, Kenyetta, you have your own podcast as well. Is that correct?
Yep, soon to be launching in probably the next month or so. It's going to be Kenyetta Speaks on the Power of the Pivot. I think it's super important that people fully understand how pivots can be life-changing and that nothing is forever. It doesn't have to be forever, right? Especially when it comes to your life and your business.
Mm-hmm.
You fully have the ability to create your own space and legacy. And on the podcast, I want to give people the resources to be able to make that pivot and however it looks, and to also interview people who have made those pivots in their lives, and not just people who have made $1 million, because those are the biggest pivots that you hear, right? Are the people that, I'm rags to riches to $1 million, but there are tons of people out there who've made these small pivots in their life that's been really life-changing, that are a little bit more tangible to you, right? So I want to have aspirational stories as well as stories that people can really hold on to. So yeah.
So basically pivoting, like not the rags to riches necessarily, but someone who, let's just say, pivoted from, let's just say, corporate America to running their own restaurant or bake shop.
Exactly. Or, I met a lady one time who said, I was in IT healthcare, and she decided to take a year off because she knew that there was more she wanted to do in her life, and she just didn't know what. So she took a year off. She saved up enough money to take a year off to try to figure it out, because she knew for a fact that she could always go back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I think another good one would be someone who transitioned. This is very hypothetical, from manufacturing to tech. They're now working in the tech.
Yeah. So. Those type of transitions are just super important. Or, I know tons of entrepreneurs who are, are business owners, and they forget that they can pivot too. People think that purpose is forever, and it's not, right? Purpose is something that will change over time. What you are attached to will change as you evolve. What you like and dislike is going to evolve as well. And, when people have businesses, they often think that this is a forever business, right? Like, I'm going to be doing consulting forever, or I'm going to be doing this clothing boutique forever. No, you're probably not going to be doing it forever. And it's okay that you're not going to be doing it forever, right? Those things don't have to be that that type of hold on you, right? If you decided that you were doing a boutique business and you was like, I might want to buy McDonald's now, right? Just to throw that out there. Here's the thing is that now you have a profitable, sustainable business that you can leverage in order to go chase those other things that are purposeful in your life, right? Whereas before, this was just, it's just your start. It's not the end.
Oh yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, even doing this show here, Clay's Couch was more or less a pivot from what I was doing before, because I've always had an idea of doing a podcast, but when podcasts really started to take off, that is when I was like, okay, let me I was doing consulting too. Well, I actually still am kind of technically still doing it. So
what kind of consulting do you do?
Yeah, marketing and public relations consulting, or social media consulting.
Okay.
So when the pandemic came in, all my opportunities to really truly network stalled because we didn't have any in-person events. And yes, I could have virtually networked, but it's not the same. I mean, I need to be in a room, or at least have some aspect of normality in order for me to be successful doing it, especially at the stage I was with it. Because my whole plan with the Susan Strategies, that's the name of my consulting business. Prior to COVID, I had a whole plan for 2020. I was going to go to different events, in-person events here in Durham, all throughout the state of North Carolina, go to different conferences across the country. I was going to network and just pitch my services all throughout, like different industries and all. Because my whole idea, Kenyetta, was to basically provide marketing PR services to any industry, any brand, any entity, including like political campaigns. Like that was the goal. But COVID came and literally just shook everything off the foundation.
Right.
So I tried to pivot within, but it just was not really working, and I had to basically try to seek a 9-to-5 again after I had basically quit my day job in January 2020.
You know what? And ain't nothing wrong with that. I think people, if you don't mind if I jump in and talk about that.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I think people really, there's this thing, right, that if you got to be an entrepreneur, it's got to be a full-time thing, right? And then if it's not your full-time thing, then it's a part-time side hustle. And that's not, we need to let go of all that. It's like, I decided to go get all the money out there, period. End of story. If that money out there is I can have a 9-to-5 and get benefits and still have the additional businesses that I can leverage this 9-to-5 to fund those as those get up and running. And now you've created choices, right? And so I think people need to start framing entrepreneurship as a space of choice, right? Like, this gives me the freedom to, if I don't want to work my 9-to-5 anymore, I don't have to do it. And it also says that if I want to work my 9-to-5, that I can, and go get that paycheck and go get those benefits and leverage those things to do the other things that I want to do, because we're not a monolith, right? I always say that because people is like, you can quit, sure, but there are people who don't want to, and that's fine.
Right. I also think that a lot of people, I'm not necessarily speaking for myself, don't know how to fully, those who desire, as we mentioned, this is all about choices, who know how to desire from, who want to know how to go from quote unquote side hustle or thing on the side to full-time entrepreneurship. But even with the entrepreneurship, you have your own benefits, such as healthcare, retirement, and all of that. I think a lot of people don't know how to do that successfully. And I think if they knew how to do that, I could be wrong, but there'll be less fragmentation of, okay, well, this is a choice. I'm going to do this and still keep my 9-to-5, or just go all the way. I think if people knew how to successfully pivot, go figure, then there wouldn't be that type of thinking. I could be wrong. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No. I think that, all of those things are true. And I think the one thing that people don't do soon enough is go find the people that know and go hire them and pay them to help them with the things they don't know. What I've seen is that people undervalue that type of activity. They figure they can go get it for free. Knowledge ain't free. Yeah. Okay. Real knowledge ain't free. You go to college, you pay for that knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. You want knowledge about how to move in business and try to scale your additional business that you have outside of your 9 to 5, then you go find somebody that can help you do that and be willing to pay for that.
Yeah.
Right? Because that matters to you. If it's you make an investment in yourself, you make an investment in the areas that you have challenges in, and you need to be okay with making those investments, right? And so people are sometimes too busy trying to piecemeal activities, right? Instead of going to find the people that know and be willing to work with them to get them to the space they need to be. Because here's the thing. Anytime you make an investment, you're trying to lower the barrier, right? You try to lower the learning curve. That's the point, right? That's the point of school. I want to become a software engineer so I can lower the barrier. So I have these foundational elements so that I can build things, right? Building the business is the same way, right? What you don't know, I need to go get those foundational elements so that I'm not starting at zero. Because, or that I'm not starting from a place of just truly not knowing, or I'm not piecemealing because I don't know. There's process to this. So let's figure out what that looks like, right? You can get a ton of success. You can get a ton of success on your own. I'm not saying that that's not the case. But if you want to lower the learning curve and the learning barrier, go find the people that do the things you don't know how to do. And the thing about having a 9 to 5 is that now you have money to be able to pay for that, right? Like leverage that money. Stop wasting. Like the thing about is that you don't get time back, right?
Don't.
Time is not something that you get back. So you spend the time wisely you want to maximize the time you have. You're not trying to use it all. Yeah, sure, you could do some things. Yeah, we already know that. Maximization of that time. Is that a good use of your time? Can I have somebody else show me how to do this so that I'm not spending all of my time trying to figure it out?
For sure. I also believe that if you are going to get a 9 to 5, get a 95 that doesn't burn you out from doing the 5 to 9. I'm just speaking in jargon here, meaning that find a 9 to 5 that's flexible enough to where you can work on your vision or your goals. Because if you have a 9 to 5 that just burns you out and you're not even able to give anything to your dream or your vision, then it's kind of it's not even really a win. Yeah, you got the protection of a paycheck or a salary or the benefits, but if it's costing you from what you're doing elsewhere, to me, it's not a success. It's not a win. That's how I feel. So
it's not a success. You're totally right about that. Is that you have to start realizing that your time is valuable too, right? Like that's the name of the game, is how valuable is your time and are you willing to quit if it ain't what you want? You know what I'm saying? You got to really think about that. Some things that my dad used to tell me, I always wanted to, I wanted to work for myself. I didn't really know how to execute on that initially. And I was in my 20s, right? After I graduated college, and my dad, when my dad was alive, he would be like, all right, Kenyetta. And I used to call him like, I don't know what I was doing. Like, I don't understand why I can't do this, just crying, right? And my dad would be like, why do you care? Why? He was like, it doesn't matter. This is not it's not the end goal, right? He said, your end goal is to learn as much as possible. When you're done learning, you got to move on. If it's taking too much of your time, you need to move on. He said, you really shouldn't be staying at a job for any longer than, for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
For him, it was like 2 years, right? And I was like, well, I don't understand. He was like, the point is to get the experience. The point is to find out the things you don't know. The point is to find out the things you like and don't like and create a list so that you can have that. So when it's time to start yours, you know what type of space that you want to create. And unbeknownst to him, every job I ever had was no longer than 2 years. My last job that I had was the longest I've ever had a job. Because really? when I felt like it wasn't serving me any longer.
How long did you have it?
Almost 4 years. That was a long time.
What were you doing? I may ask.
Product management. So I build software. So I still like the people that's one thing I let build a little bit more organically, is that I actually have a software team so I can build customized software. So I'm going to be launching that a little bit later this year, formally launching it later on this year, because business and tech go together. They're not separate. And I'm not building websites. I'm building like mobile apps, web apps.
Okay.
Solutions. But back to what I was saying, it's, working in that working in that environment, I had a ton of flexibility. So I was able to do a lot of different things that I wanted to do and get some things in place. Right. So that's the space that it gave me, which is probably why I had it the longest. Right. I didn't have that type of flexibility before. So you're right. Once you realize something's not serving you, you have to figure a way to move and manipulate yourself to get out. Okay. Like it was this one girl, I remember when I was at my former employer, she was telling me she was working in customer service and she was wanted to move into HR. And I was like, cool. What have you done to, what are some things that you've done? Because this whole notion of you got to work hard is a scam. Like, let's be clear about this. It's a scam.
Yeah.
You don't work hard, you work smart.
Tell people that for once.
Yeah, like you need to be seen on the important projects and do well on those. You need to network. There's an element of working hard. I'm not saying that you don't work hard at all. There's an element of that, but this whole notion that that's the only thing that's going to get you to plan to the end result, it's not the case. That's part of it. That's a component of getting to your end goal. But she was telling me, she was just like, I've done this. I was like, okay, cool. She was telling me all the things she'd done in a different department that she wanted to move into. And I was like, cool. Did you formally ask them that they had a role for you? And she says, no. I said, well, then one, there's no expectation for them to create it because you have not said it to them, right? Because what was happening was that she felt like I'm working hard. They should recognize it. People are not going to do that off gate. That's number one, right? Because really they have no incentive to do so. Mm-hmm. There's no incentive for them to do that. You're doing the work. You haven't asked for anything. Because see, the minute that you ask, the decision becomes yours, right? The decision becomes yours because now somebody has to show up. And if they show up, then you know that they're serious. If they don't show up, you know you got to leave, right? Because they didn't give you, because they didn't necessarily give you what you asked, what you wanted. And there may be somebody who will. So I told her, I was like, you need to make some decisions to leave. And she was like, why? I said, are they giving you what you want? And are you going to spend the rest of your time in the space with someone thinking that if you continue to work hard, that they're just going to recognize that? People don't inherently do that. People inherently are doing things for themselves. So you got to recognize, right? That's nature, right? Like, how do I self-serve first? Everybody else is it the second, right? But you got to recognize that you have to serve you first, right? You don't serve these jobs first. You don't serve entrepreneurship first. You don't serve anything first. The person that you serve first is you, right? And so you have to be okay with making the hard decisions,
right,
in your life that's going to take you to the next level. And sometimes those decisions are going to make you feel like you're taking 30 steps back.
That's really
what
deep.
I'm saying. It's right. That's really because everybody has an expectation that the hard decision that you need to make is going to automatically propel you forward. It's not going to always do that. So she had to be okay with that. So I was just very clear, like, you have to be okay. I know I made it sound simplified to her, but the goal I was getting is that you do not elect to be in a space that is not serving you.
That's right.
Right. And even if the decision is hard to leave, you got to learn how to make them hard decisions. That's what I tell entrepreneurs every day. Your employee mindset of not being able to make a decision as a CEO is stopping you from growth in your business. It's stopping you from taking your business to the next level, right? Why? Because you have not fully believed that you are the authority figure in the space that you're in. So if you don't fully think that you're an authority figure that's in the space that you're in, you're not even being obedient to the purpose that's in you.
That's good. I like that.
You know what I'm saying? You're not obedient to that, because obedience is serving a higher authority, right? It's being serving that. And if you're the higher authority, then you have to be obedient to what's in you, right? Because that's where your strength comes from. If you're strong, right? If you get your strength, then you're going to be more disciplined. You're going to be more focused. It's going to give you the confidence. Strength gives you confidence to be able to make those decisions and to be able to follow through with action, right? Whether you're an employee and whether you're an entrepreneur trying to grow, right? Decision, that hard thought, that the employee mindset got to move to decision making mindset of a CEO, right? Being able to have the confidence to make the decisions when they need to be made, understanding that there's going to be repercussions for those decisions, and also understanding that most decisions are not something you can't change, right? Like decisions, 95% decisions ain't permanent. They got consequences with it, but they're definitely not permanent, right? And so really leaning into that, really finding that discipline and focus so that you're able to do the things that you want to do for yourself and in your life. So you're able to do those things and make those decisions and move how you need to move differently in your business in order to effectively get to the space you want to get to, right? So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's really good, because making those tough decisions, like when you're in that transition, I see it being very important. A lot of people are scared to do things. Like they're scared to, again, this is not a one size fits all necessarily. As you mentioned earlier, we all have choices, but just knowing that, okay, yeah, this job is paying me, but it's not really serving me.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm scared to leave. But you don't ever take that leap of faith. I would just say that if you want to be a boss, you got to have to make the boss decisions. And I'm just confirming what you had just said there, Kenyetta. So that's very important. That's really a lot of food for thought and aha moment, even for myself, as you know, I navigate through some waters personally and professionally. And we're in a new world now, obviously, with just work-life balance, or just work and jobs, and just that whole scene in general, where you see the great resignation and all of that. And I do wonder how much of that is attributed to transitioning or pivoting to entrepreneurship. I would say it's a good chunk of it. If not necessarily in entrepreneurship, but at least putting yourself in a place to find a new choice or a new landscape for oneself.
I agree. I think that people are recognizing they have choices. Prior to COVID, or just think about how society has set us up, right? Society has set us up to think that you go get a job, you work for 30 years, and then you retire with more years behind you than ahead of you in order to enjoy your life. That's what we've been told, right? Like that's this narrative in life. People are beginning to see it don't have to be that way.
Yep.
People are beginning to see that that's not what has to happen in order for you to be successful. And you get the opportunity to continue to try. Because what has happened, what society with that thought process has happened, what has happened to us is made us scared to try, scared to fail, right? Scared to go out there as if we can't rebound, right? Failure is practice, right? Success is not perfection. Success should not be equal to perfection, but everything incentivizes that success has to be perfect. It's perfection, right? Getting A's in school, right? Those type of activities. That's not equivalent. Success is growth. How do I grow? I have to practice. If I practice, then I should be failing, right? Because here's the thing. People have failed a lot we all have failed, not people. Everybody has failed in their life. Everybody. So we know how failure looks. And we still here. And we don't give ourselves enough credit for failing and still being here. But what we don't know is what it feels like to be successful. We don't have that feeling. We don't have that feeling to feel like we're at that level of success that we want to be, right? And because we're scared to try to get there because of all this failing activity, it stalls you out, like right here. And now that even as I evolve in my thinking, and because I didn't think that way either, I was scared. I didn't want to fail. I was like, the need for validation. I didn't want anybody to see me fail or see me doing bad or anything like that. And that was preventing me from moving the way that I needed to move. I wasn't asking for enough help, right? Because I wasn't truly being honest about where I was at, right? And when you're not honest about where you are in your business or where you are in your life, you're not asking for the right help, right? Sometimes the right help is, I don't know where to start, what to do. And I need for you to help me figure these things out so that I can get in a position to ask for help in the way that I need help. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that, people don't do that enough. So when you're not honest, then it's hard for you to honest about where you are. It's just hard for you to make decisions. It's hard for you to ask for help. And you just are operating in this silo because you're too busy trying to put on for everybody out there.
Wow.
Right. So just hindering your own ability.
Right.
So sometimes you gotta let go all that, let go of all of that, be a little bit more vulnerable with the people that you can be vulnerable with, so you can get into a space to where you can actively start taking action on the things that you need to take action on in your life. But you can only do that if you're honest.
Right. Definitely. You're right about that for sure. So with your business here, Kenyetta, I see that executive product and business coach, the Catalyst HQ. And I read that it helps entrepreneurs and startups create and refine their business foundation for clarifying their brand purpose, to position their business to win in the marketplace, bringing it all together through planning so they can increase revenue and show up with confidence in the marketplace. Just given everything that you're dialoguing here, is that an accurate description on what the Catalyst group does?
That's like the 50%. The other 50%
Okay.
is really working on mindset, right? How can I take you to a space to where you're thinking differently so you can move differently? Because here's the thing, as a coach, I can give you the frameworks, right? I can show you how to position yourself. I can show you how to really formulate your brand strategy. I can really show you those things to build a strategic plan that matters. Because let me be clear, people take poor action because they do poor planning, right?
Yeah.
So let's start there. Poor action and poor planning. This is where we at. And I think it's because this whole notion, everybody's telling you need to act, you need to jump, you got to learn by doing. Yes, you're going to learn by practice, no doubt. Have a plan in place so that you know something to measure up against. Have a plan in place so you know where it's giving your vision direction, right? Get those things in order so that you can get into execution mode and not be planning and executing at the same time. In addition to that, being able to have the mindset to grow in the way that you want to grow. Because I specifically work with entrepreneurs who are already existing, who already make a certain amount of revenue. So between 85K and above. And the reason I chose them is because there's a different set of things you need to learn at that level. You're not in the space of starting up. You're not starting your LLC. You're not doing those activities, right? You're not launching, right? You are actively in this space where things are starting to break in your business. You've realized you've got consistent clients and you're experiencing levels of growth. Your mind has to catch up to those levels of growth. You got to start making more critical decisions in your business, and you may or may not know how to do that. You realize how much you can hustle your way to a lot of stuff. You can't hustle your way you can't hustle through growth, right?
Yeah.
If you've been making, think about it, if you've been making 100K, right, a year, that's great. If you probably had a plan in place, you could have probably made 250K. Right? If you understood the things you needed to put it in place and the mindset and having that planning and clarity so that you can move the way you need to move and understand how to practice this whole notion of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is not who you are. It is practice. A business is what you leverage, right? So you practice entrepreneurship. So you go out there and you have these, and you got to get that in your mind. But a lot of people don't have that mindset of practice, right? Like, how do I do that? How do I get clarity? And that's what I provide as a business coach, is I'm providing you the frameworks, I'm providing you the layout, and I'm providing you the mental clarity, right? For you to be able to execute on your vision. For small businesses, startups, whether you're building a product, whether you're building, I typically focus on service-based businesses. So if you're building that up, that's where I come in. I know that's probably a long answer.
No, it's perfect. I like it. It's definitely great for sure. So I think it's really just helpful in a lot of ways. Would you say that anyone at any level of their entrepreneurial journey can come to you? Like, would you take anyone who reached out as a client?
So no, I do not. And it's again, I typically focus on people who are in the growth stage of their business, because it's a different level of mindset you need to have.
Right.
People who want to start, There's tons people who are looking to start businesses. There are tons of spaces, and I may create some offerings in the future for people who are starting that business and need to get some core things down, right? Like, because there's some core things you need to have to really start your business and to really jump out there. And I think I must create that. But right now I offer 2 services, right? So right now I really offer a 2-hour strategic planning intensive. I offer a 2-hour strategic planning intensive because there's a ton of people who are they're executors, right? And but as an entrepreneur, you got so many ideas in your head.
Yeah.
You got so many decisions you have to make. It is overwhelming to be an entrepreneur. It is overwhelming to be a business owner. And you need to be able to have a strategic planning session with somebody who understands that, right? So I can work with them in the 2-hour intensive. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk through some things, mainly one challenge that you have. I don't like people to be all over the place. So one challenge you come through, and we really break that down into some tangible action steps that you can take next, right? So you'll get the audio, the action steps. And then after that, my next service that I have is a VIP experience where we work for 8 hours, one-on-one, 8 hours in one day. And we really bust out your strategic plan, right? Really break down what that understanding your business foundation, what needs to be refined. And then I do touch points for the next 30, 60, and 90 days. And I love those, you know what I'm saying? So for the existing business owner, they can, this is going to be a jam for them, right? I'm really going to be having a group coaching program coming out soon, but that's not till later on this year, because I really enjoy wanting to help people break that down in a group setting. So I'll be doing the same thing as breaking down those foundational elements for existing business owners to truly build out something that they can go in the world out to execute and also build off each other. So eventually what I plan on doing, so I have those things, those 2 major things I have now, group coaching and pipeline. And I'm also going to be facilitating a community. I want people like you who are existing entrepreneurs, men and women, to be able to get into a space that they can be vulnerable about business. It ain't always about sunshine, roses, and unicorns.
Yeah.
And I think that people, we're doing great. We're making 500K a year, everything's spectacular. And you got business owners over here talking about, I make 500K a year and I'm still quite unhappy and I don't really know what to do. I feel overwhelmed. That's a real feeling. People think that money is solving that problem, and it doesn't. And they know they can't talk to somebody else who doesn't understand that life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think a lot, and this is probably where it best describes me, just to be a little transparent, is that I have the business up. It's just more about scaling now. So as I mentioned, I told you what happened pretty much prior and during the pandemic and all of that. So would that be, and if I do have you repeating again, do apologize, but this is just for some more clarity for those who are curious. Would that be more of the type of client that you're looking for? Because a lot of folks can have LLCs out there, but if they're not scaling, it's just a certificate on the wall.
It is, because let's talk about business phases, right? You have launch phases, growth phases, and scale phases. People think that they're in the scaling phase, and oftentimes they're still in growth phase, right? When you're launching is I'm getting my LLC. I'm really trying to. I got my first beta set of target customers I want to target, and you're refining that process as you go. So your processes should be very lean. You shouldn't, people think they need to have a whole operational system up. No, you do not. You need to be launching as lean as possible, right? Once you get to a certain point, probably around 85 to 90K or more a year, is when you really start thinking about this growth phase that you're going to be in. And growth actually is a longer phase than anything else, right? Growth is you're going to be making investments. You're going to be optimizing systems. You're going to be thinking about teams. You're going to be leveling up your personal development, because there are things that you need to know mentally as you prepare yourself for growth. And that's a long phase. Like, growth is a long phase. Scale is a different phase. Scale is you're on a different level of thought with how you're trying to maximize this growth, how you're trying to keep expenses low and keep profitability high. When you're in that growth phase, you're working that out, right? Because you have to make these certain level of investments in order to get to those spaces, right? So I think that people have to delineate for launch, growth, and scale. And it's okay to be in growth for a while. It's okay to understand that you're trying to make the major investments so you can keep profitability high. And so you can figure out how to keep those, decrease those expenses within your business. How do I hire on the team? What does it look like? The type of applications that I'm using? Those are growth phase activities. Right? Scale is how do I get out? How am I taking growth and scale are how I'm taking much time out for myself and putting the right people in place.
Yeah.
It's very different. And I was saying that the difference is people not understanding where they are in their business enough to make a decision about, what they actually need at that time in their business. So I think of it in phases, launch, growth, and scale. Okay, you launching or somebody who's just starting their business. They've told some people they're trying to really formulate who they actually want to. They know they have this gift. They, probably got an LLC. They're probably thinking about their target audience, what that looks like, where they're gonna, advertise, market. Then you have people in a growth stage. So that launch stage is, you hustling, right? You're refining what it looks like. You're going through the process of business. Because I think people also think that in that stage that, once you build a strategy for once you build your strategic plan, business plan, that it's a set it and forget it. That ain't how plans work. Plans are living documents. The market gonna tell you what they're gonna tell you about what you offer, right? Then then the growth stage that you've been in it for a while, or you starting to make money, got consistency within your business, right? You kept it lean because in your launch, you need to keep it lean and you executing. In that growth phase, you got some consistency, you got some consistent clients, and you start to look at things start to break, right? You might, things in your target audience might be changing. You as a person may be changing, maybe, you're just realizing some different things about the growth stage of your business, how you're growing, how your business is growing, things are breaking. What do you need to do to start positioning yourself to take it to that next level? That's your growth stage, right? How do I leverage this business? How do I keep things lean, but implement enough process and systems in place? Stop doing a lot of things manually, maybe hire some team members. Scale is very different. Scale, you're in a place to start a lot more smooth sailing, right? You get into a certain monetary amount and you're trying to smooth sail that. Also in your growth phase, it might be a space where, I kind of do like a dotted line where it might be a space where you might be on that pivot track. Like you have some consistent clients. You've realized that this actually is working for you and you have a system that, just kind of like you have a feel for the business and there are things that are working. There's some things that need to be tweaked. And you all of a sudden realize this ain't what you want to necessarily continue to keep doing. Right. So you might have a dotted line down and you might need to figure out how do you pivot into something that you really want to do, leveraging the existing thing that you already have. Because that's what people fail to realize, that business becomes process. If you read the E-Myth, understanding process makes sense, right? McDonald's is a business because it has a repeatable process, right? When other investors make investments in different businesses, it's because when they go and invest, they know a lot of investors are bringing money and they're bringing other resources to the table. They invest in certain companies, not only because they like just the founder at the time, but also because they know that they have a repeatable process that they could probably install there that'll lower the learning curve, increase the probability of success, right? So that's understanding that when you create sustainable businesses, you're creating sustainable repeatable processes.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely good to know, because it's a struggle over here at times. Yes, it looks like I may be doing well, but look, even the things I struggle and need help with, and can you?
But it's a mental struggle more so than anything else. Like, I had a client woke up one day and said, "I feel like a failure last night," and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
girl, we always have that. Like, you're not the only one. Like, that's a real feeling. You know what I'm saying?" Because people also forget that their businesses have these highs and lows sometimes too. And I think that we don't address that enough. Like, I'm giving you a succinct, launch, growth, scale. That doesn't mean that within these segments that there's not periods of seasonality. There's not periods of up and downness. Like, those things are real. And, that's why to me, having somebody on your team, like a business coach, is important. Having somebody on your team who can help you navigate those highs and those lows, help you take some of that emotion out and say, hey, look, listen, let's really start to look at your business and let's see what things need to be tweaked to get you into a different space. Tell me mentally what you're going through. Let's work through that so that you can go execute and show up better in your business and for yourself, right? Those are the things that business coaches help you with, right? And that's what people need to understand about having a business coach. It ain't merely the 3 extra revenue and tomorrow in 27 days, you make 6 figures in 27 days. That's not even real life. 99% of businesses ain't doing that, right?
Yeah,
How can
exactly.
They're just not, right? So if I was helping you and you're, like you said, I'm looking here, you take that evaluation. How do we make that let's look at the business. Let's see, what needs to be happening today, what maybe needs to happen in 6 months. Those are decisions that I'm going to be helping, think about and make so that you can go out and execute and fully show up.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. That's good because those lows do come. I mean, it comes in waves, but
it does
come nonetheless. And it really has you questioning yourself. And then I, for instance, just being transparent, or someone else may compare yourself to others and their success and their different chapters in life.
And the comparison game is real.
Like seriously,
it's
for real.
It's like a real thing. Like I had to, I was telling somebody I was on Instagram. I had to get off Instagram. Well, my Instagram got disabled. Let me be clear about that. My Instagram got disabled. No, I don't even know why. I'm not even really positive why my Instagram got disabled. So I have a new Instagram. It's Kenyetta K Hall. That's my Instagram handle. And of course I'm on LinkedIn. Right. Mm-hmm. But in that time, I think that God really took my Instagram away because I may have been playing too much of the comparison game with other business coaches. I'm super smart. That's not the issue. I can help people for sure. But I was comparing my chapter 2 to somebody's 27. You know what I'm saying? As if I got to be there tomorrow, and I don't. What I need to do is be able to stand in my own authority of what I know and how I can help, and be able to articulate my value doing that.
Wow.
That's authentic to me. Right. And so I had to do some, as God purged me. I was doing a purge, but he said, you're not moving quick enough. So he purged it out. Right. So now I have a new Instagram, and although it's been, hard, but what it is doing is making me more focused. I don't know everybody that I was following anymore. Right. Mm-hmm. So because I don't know that, I'm not comparing myself. Right. Mm-hmm. That happens to the best of us, even coaches. Coaches are human too. Coaches are not absolved from having feelings of inadequacy, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get it. Those highs and lows is real.
Tell me about it for sure.
Yeah, highs and lows are real. I know you experience highs and lows, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
You sitting here
without question.
I'm showing up. Some days are. I'm showing up. I'm being consistent. Even though I feel this way, I am being disciplined because my feelings are not fact and they are fleeting.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you there on that. I mean, and there are days, I'm sure you probably felt this too. You feel like just quitting or not doing anything. And I'm sure you've hit that wall as well.
Yeah, I quit a couple days. I quit. I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I quit. I ain't where I want to be. I'm quitting. And I quit for 2 days. And then, I come back and hire myself back. I come back hey, Kenya, you're doing too much. But yeah, but you know what though? You have to realize that because we are taught that everything is linear. It's this linear process all the time, right? Okay, you're going to go from launch. You're going to go to growth, and you're going to go to scale, and that's how the business is going to roll. And sometimes you might be balancing between growth and launch. Sometimes you got to take 3, 4, 5, 10 steps back to then jump 30 steps forward, right? It ain't pretty all the time. It ain't sunshines and roses every day. There's going to be times in your business where you're not experiencing super client growth. It ain't going to be positive things happening all the time. But you got to be figuring out what is there to gain from that. Like, what am I learning here? And you ain't gonna automatically learn to pick that up, right? Like that's a growth thing mentally. That's why as you grow in your business, your mental has to catch up, right? Catch up to growth if you're growing extremely fast. Catch up to the fact that you may not grow as fast as you want, and learning how to navigate not the slower movement, but still understanding that you are building, right? Being honest with yourself about that space. That's what business coaches help you navigate. The mental game.
Yes.
The mental gymnastics of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The actual business gymnastics, the mechanics of business when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? You get a thought partner in that. You get frameworks attached to that. That's why I became a business coach, because I was naturally good at that. And I got these degrees, and you got to use these degrees. You know what I'm saying? I got to use them for something. I went to Keenan Flagler MBA school. I got to figure that out.
You sure did.
Right. How I'm going to use that degree to help others. You know what I'm saying? And I'm, you got to stand in your gift on that. Like, I'm good at helping people articulate I'm good at helping people articulate how they feel and taking that complexity out so they can digest it, so that we can take action on it. Right. So if I'm good at helping people figure out what that looks like, or taking the next steps, or helping them navigate the mental gymnastics, let me go help how impactful can I be and still get paid for it? Right. And then, I say all this to say about, I know it's probably a little mini tangent, but I want people to understand this.
It's all good. Hey.
I want people to understand business models too, right? Like, I think people, you keep hearing high ticket coaching, right? Courses, you don't need no lower value this. You don't need you need to always focus on this. Business models are what they are. You know what they are? Choices. How do you want to serve up? How do you want to serve it up today? Right? What type of game do you want to play when it comes to business? Do you want to play the game of value, lower price, higher value? That's a game you can play, right? Is it any better than playing a high ticket value where you have lower amount of customers at a higher price? No, just a different game. Could you have a mix of both once you get can you have a mix of both? Sure, you can. Why can't you? Right?
Yeah, I agree.
There's no either or in a business model. It's how do I execute for solopreneurs, right?
Yeah.
Solopreneurs is how do you want to, like, what's your energy level and how do you want to show up? If you don't want to show up and, with a more high touch, which may be more valuable to some people, and they're willing to pay a higher price, right? Or the value, or you trying to give a little bit lower level value on the value, then that's cool. Show up in a course. That's fine. As long as you're executing on the outcome and people believe in that, you can articulate the value at that price level. Sure. Same thing with higher ticket prices. Like, higher tier price thing. It's a certain level of value people expect. When people buy a Lexus, they have an expectation. If they buy a higher ticket coaching, they're gonna have an expectation, right? So you need to be able to match the expectation. That's why price is never attached to how much you're worth. Price is attached to the value that's in the marketplace for what you're doing. It can't be attached to what you're worth, because nobody dictates what you're worth. People dictate prices in marketplaces based upon perceived value.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that for sure. And we don't talk enough about solopreneurs. But I think it'd be really solopreneurs and entrepreneurs are really one and the same until, you have, I guess, a sustainable staff and what have you there. But until then, you're a one-man or one-woman show and you're a solopreneur. I don't even think it makes a difference in how much revenue you make. I think that even a solopreneur can have high revenue in theory.
There's people who are running coaching businesses who are solopreneurs because they've learned to be efficient and are running $600,000 companies. That's not necessarily a thing. Again, the great thing about being an entrepreneur, right? Starting your own, is that you get to dictate what this looks like. See, the problem is everybody's trying to bet on a sure thing. You notice that? Well, if I bet that I have to have these things, there's certain things at certain levels that you need to have for sure, right? Like, if you want to get to $1 million, it's a lot of times you're gonna be working. You're gonna do that it's going to be hard to do that if you don't have people, right? To help you execute on that. It's going to be hard, but do people have to be full-time? No. Do people have to, like there's ways to put people in place, but you have to think about what it is that you're trying to achieve. What's the goal? People too focused on, well, I just need somebody to give me something. No, you want somebody to tell you a sure thing. That's what you want to do. You want to have it bulletproof where you're not going to fail. That's not it. I'm not a business coach to somebody who is, and I'm saying that everything that we're going to be working together is going to pan out. That's not a fact. It's not life. It's not even realistic. What I'm saying to you is I'm helping you navigate these spaces because I'm a subject matter expert in these areas. I'm helping you navigate how to think. I'm going to show you how to think about it. I'm going to show you how to, when it doesn't go your way, how do you move through it? Not around it, but through it.
Got you there. Now, Kenyetta, was your journey through or to entrepreneurship, was that as a result in part because, or you can answer this way too, do you like to work under people or do you not like to work under people?
So
to be honest,
more so my journey of entrepreneurship, really came when I was actively, like, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, that wasn't a thing. Like, I always knew I wanted to be one, but I didn't, like I told you, I didn't know how to really fully execute on that. And then I was let go and I had some FU money because in my MBA program, they was like, you need to have some FU money. So when you can tell an employer it's time to go, you can tell them to FU. Like, as they say, right? Okay. So I had some FU money and I decided I'm gonna try this on my own. Like, I'm gonna see what I can do. Right? I'm gonna see what I can do. I can get all the money I want. If I want to go work some contract positions, I will. If I don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the advantage, is that not trapping yourself in a box all the time. Oh, you're not an entrepreneur because you don't do these things. Oh, you're not an entrepreneur or you just do these. No, go get money. If that's what the goal is, like, if that's what you want, go do that. It's fine. It ain't, there's plenty of consultants and coaches who do contract work, do coaching work. Did that absolve them from being an entrepreneur? No. Doesn't absolve them from anything. It just means that they just found another revenue stream. Revenue streams ain't, the thought of revenue streams don't have to be that way. So for me, once I got that, I know that was a tangent, my bad. But once I got that FU money, I had it in the bank and I was just like, I'm gonna do this on my own. I'm gonna do it on my own.
Good to hear.
So it was God said it was time. So God does a lot of pushing.
He does. He certainly
does. What I'm saying? So he was like, go out there. Or like, yeah, you doing too much on IG. I'm gonna disable it. You can start all over. Like, he's like, you was moving too slow.
IG will get you messed up. IG will make
right.
You ain't doing hardly anything right if you ain't careful.
Exactly. And people and you know what? And that's when you have to realize, like, let me take 2 steps back and let me realize who I am and what the authority that I stand in and get clear on being able to articulate that value.
Yeah, it's like, how is people dancing, acting stupid, get 1 million views, and I'm posting some good quality content for my business, so I'm getting like a few likes. Like, what? Have you all messed up?
But you know what? So here's the thing about that. Likes, vanity. Vanity. There are people out here on IG, they got 2,000 followers making 6 figures. That's perspective for you. Perspective is that people who pay for high ticket activities aren't out here telling everybody their business is about paying for high ticket activities. Right?
Okay.
They're not doing it. So as long as you are understanding your target audience, as long as you're speaking to them, right? As long as you are selling to them, because selling is not a bad word. It's not, people. We got to get past that. As long as they know how you can help them, you can win at some games on social. But everybody's not telling you that. Again, you need to have the mass following. That's great, but it's not indicative of profit. It's just not. It's not indicative of you making money.
Okay.
So you don't correlate the two. Right? Great. Likes are great. Did they convert?
Absolutely.
So that's how people you think about business. That's what you need to think about. Social media is not a strategy. It is not the business. It is how you get in front of the people that you want to get in front of, right? Social is a way to get awareness depending on where you are in your process. It is a space that you learn to leverage to get the awareness that you need and be able to convert them through a process, a customer journey process. Right? People are like, let me show you social media strategy, social media business. Your business is not social media. Your business is a business, right? Social media is the way that you get in front of people for it to get business. Let's frame it the correct way. Okay. You can also do that in networking events like you were planning on doing, right? You were planning on going through networking events, right? So that still works. Like now we back outside.
Exactly.
So networking is going to be even more important,
Okay.
right? Your network is more important. You know, you're not more important. Your network is important. So there are other ways that you're getting in front of people, right? Like my goal is to get it in front of as many people as I can. I leverage digital spaces to get in front of as many people as I can to tell my story. I get on digital spaces so that I can connect with people. I get on digital spaces so I can engage with them so that I can nurture them to convert. That's what social does.
All right. Wonderful. I love it. I love it. But I think that's all the time we have, Kenyetta. But for folks who are ready to get to work with you, how can they hit you up?
Oh my gosh. So if you are ready to work with me, or you can hit me up on my website, which is the Catalyst HQ with a K. So THE Catalyst with a K, HQ.com. You can hit me up on there. You can always hit me up on IG. So Kenyetta K Hall. It was Kenyetta the Catalyst, but we're not going to talk about the disablement of my last account.
Exactly.
And also on LinkedIn, you can always hit me on Kenyetta Hall on LinkedIn. And feel free to reach out. I have a 30-minute discovery call. We can go through that. And the two major services that I'm offering right now, like I said, are your strategy sessions, your clarity strategy sessions. Because as an entrepreneur, and this is where for those who are inspiring entrepreneurs and who are existing entrepreneurs, if you need to get that clarity around what your next steps need to be, that 2-hour strategy sessions for you, so you can really take off. It comes with an audio recording once we're finished, and it comes with a summary and action, your next steps that you need to take, so your action plan, right? And roadmap. When you do the VIP day, that's for my existing entrepreneurs who are making about 85K or more, who are ready to truly refine that brand foundation and really build out the strategic plan for growth. The VIP experience is for you. It's a one-on-one experience, and we're going to deep dive in your business, create the plan. You will get templates and the resources in order to make it happen. And I will be keeping in touch with you over the next 90 days. So if you want to join those things, please give me a shout out. I think it is really, really good. Understanding that having a business coach is an investment in your future, right? It's an investment in your growth, both personally and professionally. And working with me, I want to be very clear. I'm gonna hold your hand and I'm gonna hold you accountable. Hold your hand and hold you accountable, right? Because as your coach, it's not my job, right, to coddle. It is my job to help you be better, to help your business be better. And that's what I intend to do. So let's get to work.
Wonderful. And thank you, Kenyetta, for your time today, and
Thank you.
appreciate it.